go through the right things.
Yeah, I
All
think we're good to go. I didn't hear from anybody that they would have to be late or anything like that. So I think we're good to go.
Perfect. Okay. So what we did last week is we did our numbers. So now what we're going to do this week is we're going to do our time, and hopefully we'll get through our time and be able to move on to the family signs. So we're going to go ahead and start with our time. The first sign I'm going to show you guys is the sign for time itself, which is going to be time. You're just going to tap your wrist. Time. Excuse me. Then we're going to go through our like seconds, minutes, hours, those sort of things. So for seconds, there are kind of two ways to do it. One is more the proper way, I would say. One is one I see more often. So the first one is going to be, you're going to have your non-dominant hand sideways. Dominant hand is going to be in a pointer finger. You're going to put it on it and then very slightly move your finger back and forth. I mean, so slightly you don't even like know it's moving. And that's second. This one I don't see as often. Typically, it's just kind of really, I'm trying to even think of how I see the seconds. Because we just say, usually it's like fingerspell, we just go S-E-C. We just say fingerspelled seconds, things like that. Sometimes they'll do seconds, but it's just not as common. I guess we don't talk about seconds as much. I'm sitting here thinking about it. I'm like, maybe because I guess we're all about minutes at school. So maybe that's what it is. All right. The next one is minute. This one I also have two ways to do it. I realized I said two ways, but I meant one way for here we go. Seconds. And then just finger spelling second. So for minute, what you're going to do is the same position as our second. But this time you're going to go a little bit wider, back and forth. Minute. And it's like your hand's like kind of sliding back and forth. Yeah, minute. The other one I see is typically what you'll do is like if you're saying like 1 minute, 3 minutes, is you'll have your dominant in that pointer finger position and your non-dominant pointer finger goes at the base of your hand. And then you go minute, minute, minute. Exactly. If you're going to do 2 minutes, you go 2 minutes. 3 minutes, that sort of thing. You can also go 2 minutes or 3 minutes as well. But this one is much more common. 3 minutes, 4 minutes. This one's also used for when you're like saying like, oh, I have 5 minutes left, or like, give me 5 minutes, that sort of thing.
Would you do the same thing if it was like 30 minutes, like 25, 30? Like, would you give the full?
Yes. I typically go 30 and then I like either sometimes if I'm being a little lazy, I'll just go 30 and I'll shake. But if I'm actually like being accurate, I'll go 30 minutes, that sort of thing. All right. The next one we have is our hour. So for hour, you're going to have your hands sideways. Again, you're going to have your pointer finger. And this time you're going to have it go a full circle. Hour. And you want to make sure you go forward as you do it. Hour. If you go backwards, I don't think someone's going to look at you and go, I have no idea what you're talking about. They're going to know you're talking about an hour, but you technically would go forward. Hour. Now, the cool thing with hours is that it's like the minutes. So if you're talking about 2 hours, you can go 2 hours, 3 hours, that kind of thing. You can keep just doing those sort of hours. All right. Our next one, and after we do our day, we'll pause and go back through those. So for day, we're going to do, what you'll do is you're going to have your non-dominant arm across. I'm going to lean back a little because you can see it all. And then your dominant's going to be in this pointer finger position. And you'll go day. Day. All right. So there's also ways for saying all day. And that is something I will show you guys. I'm going to hold it though. We're going to go through the others we had first and then go to it. Okay. So we had our time, which was time. Then we had our second. Then minute. There's also minute. Minute. There you go. And then hour. I don't know why I drew a blank on that. Hour. Mhm. The visual I have for an hour to help you guys if you're trying to be like, I'm just kind of struggling to remember that, is think about a clock. When you have the shorthand or the minutes, they have to go a full circle, to get back. That's how an hour moves. So it's like going that full circle and then it's an hour. That's like the visual with it. Then we had day. Yeah. Okay. So now I'm going too fast. Let me know. I know I can go fast sometimes with time because there's so many of them. So the next one we're going to do is all day. And what you're going to do is you're going to have your arm again this way. And you're going to now, instead of having it closed, it's going to be open all day. All day. Okay. Let's now move on to our week. So for week, you're going to have your hand, your non-dominant palm up. Dominant's going to be in a pointer finger. And you're going to slide it across. If you were going to say 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you do the same. That 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I personally think that's really nice. That's kind of helpful because then you don't have to go 7 weeks, 8 weeks. You can literally just go 7 weeks. It's like so simple. I love it. Then we have month. Now, I like to always warn people, bear with me. Month is probably the most complicated one to sign for me from a camera, in the sense of like, I try to show it like 20 different ways and everyone I think is like, what is she doing? So bear with me, okay? So you're going to have your 2 pointer fingers. You're going to turn your dominant hand sideways and keep making sure this non-dominant is pointing out. You're going to bring this dominant finger and you're going to go on the back of your non-dominant, the back of it. So start here and then slide it on the back. Yes, there we go. Man, I feel like I'm actually getting somewhat better about describing this. Y'all should have seen me the very first class. I literally sat here and I did like a whole like dancing routine trying to get this hand across. It's just a complicated one to see through camera. So month. This is another one. You can also do the 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, all the sorts. You just make sure they go in the back of your hand. Put your pointer finger this way. There you go. Put your 6, bring it on the back. Put it behind. There you go. Perfect. It's a challenge, I know. I try to avoid using the word month anytime because I'm like, I don't like this. All right, our next one is year. So for year, you're going to have 2 fists. You're going to put them on top of each other. And you're going to bring the top one forward and back on top. Excuse me. And that is year. Oh, my goodness. Let me get me some water real quick. Now this one, you can also do the 2 years, 3 years. I know I stick my elbows out like really, really wide. Really, it's more relaxed. You can do this more. I just try to overemphasize so you can see what I'm doing. So don't feel like you have to sit there and stick out your armpits like you're a bird making your motion. You can be calm. Year.
Is this how you would do age, or is that a different, like
That's
24 years? Or is that different?
But I can actually show that right now because I was sitting here going, I don't want to go into the next set without going through these. So I'll add age and then we'll go through these again. So age, what you're going to do is you're going to kind of start at a C at your chin and you pull it down. Age. So typically they'll start smaller. Like if they're saying, how old are you? Age. They'll go like this. And then what you say is my age 26 or my age 33, that sort of thing. Fun fact with that though, because I do have a fun little story for that one, is to sign the word old, like someone is old. It is old. Like you keep pulling, like it's like the gray beards. Like think of the old men with those long gray beards. That's what it's referencing. Old. old. And I just think it is so funny because, kids don't always have the perfect understanding of time and age. And so when you tell them how old you are, sometimes they go, you're like old. Like they'll start to shake it like you're just so old, you're ancient. And I'm like, that was uncalled for. They will do that. And I always joke because I'm the youngest teacher. I'm like, you do realize I am the baby teacher. Thank you very much. And they're like, but you're old. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. So I know they're teasing me and I tease them back with it, but it's funny. All right. Let's go back through. I think there was 4 we did. We did all day. So we had the arm across and went all day. Then we had week. Then we had our month. Trust me, that is literally the hardest one. She is good. I think she's got the movements. She's like, wait, which way? Month. And then year. And then our last one, age.
Question.
Mm-hmm.
So since these are dealing with, time, right? And the direction that we're going is important, like, for these signs, is a shortcut to say like last year or last week and things like that. Are there shortcuts there with those signs?
Yes. Well, yes and no. I know that sounds like, well, how does that help answer? The way I say that is because it's almost like the sign itself is a shortcut because you're not having to go the full-blown signing a sign for last and then do the sign for week. There's a specific, like, they're combined into one sign, which we're about to do. But yeah, there is a specific way you would actually say last week, next week, things like that. I personally think it's really cool what I'm about to explain. I get a little nerdy about it. I know I'm biased. I know I'm biased and I love ASL. So of course I'm going to think, oh, this is so cool. It's just, but yeah. So what I like to tell people is when we're talking about time in ASL, I like for you to almost like visualize that you are on a timeline. So right here around us where your body is present. Anything in front of you is going to be future. So anything that we're, because we're walking towards it. And then anything that happened in the past is going to be behind us. Okay, so visualize that. The reason I say that is because that is really important when talking about time. So when you are talking about, let's say, we'll hold off on yesterday and tomorrow because those are 2 that are well, no, we can do them actually. They'll be connected. So the sign for yesterday, there are 2 ways you can do it. One is more ASL, one is more English, but I'll tell you which ones I see more often. So for the more ASL, what you're going to do is you're going to have an A. You're going to start at the corner of your mouth. And you're going to go back to your ear. Yesterday. Now, this one's not as big of a notice as compared to some of the other ones, but we are going behind. We're going kind of backwards. Yesterday. Like not behind our ear. Sorry. I realized I said that and I was like, no, we're not going back here. But we are like in that sense. We're not going forward. We're going back. The other way is a Y and doing the same thing. Yesterday. This is more English because it's got the Y initial setup in it. So have I explained ASL versus signing exact English? Have I talked about that yet? Okay. I'm going to try to go short. And I was realizing, I was like, oh yeah, I said this is ASL and this one's more English. And I'm like, I'm sure you guys are like, what? So ASL is not the only form of sign language there is. There are a couple different variations in different ways. 2 of the big ones are ASL, American Sign Language, and then another one called Signing Exact English, or SEE. So what happens with that is that when you are signing in ASL, that has its own different structure, its own grammar, things like that. Signing Exact English is English put into sign. So for example, when you're talking about like, I'm going to give my example I use every time. When we say in English, I'm going to the store. In ASL, you would say store, me, go. Very simple, but that's how the structure is. Then in signing exact English, you would still follow through with that I am going to the store. So you would do I am going to the store. Yeah, it's literally every single word in every single part of the sentence. So yeah, that's signing exact English. And sometimes it can be a little more English when they add like the letter of things. So like when I said yesterday, typically this is yesterday, but some people will add that Y just to be almost more for clarification, but it's not the actual like ASL. It is more English based, if that makes sense. There's nothing wrong with using either one, as in like if you used yesterday or yesterday, both will still work. I actually see this one way more than I see this one. And I always think that's funny because I learned this one and I never signed this one until I came to school. And all my students kept saying yesterday, yesterday, yesterday. And I finally was like, yesterday. And I caught myself, I was like, I can't believe I changed my sign from doing yesterday to yesterday. So it's a very common thing, and either way works. Why are you highlighted? I do not want you highlighted. But yes. All right. So we had our yesterday or yesterday. The next one, tomorrow, you're going to start again at that same spot, so the corner of your mouth, and you're going to go tomorrow. Tomorrow. So that's going forward. Tomorrow. 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 Good. Okay. So then our next one is last week. So we're going to start like we did our week, which is non-dominant palm up, dominant pointer finger. You're going to swipe across. And then you're going to curve it behind you. So curve and point behind you. Last week. Last week. This is also, you can still do. So if it was 2 weeks ago, you can do 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, you can. That one is one you can also still do that with. Okay. Now for next week, there are 2 ways to do it. All right. I'm going to show you one that's more like how like I was taught and I've seen, but also the one that I now do because everyone around me does it way more. Okay. I say that because I always will teach one way and then I sign this way and people are like, wait a minute, what just happened? I'm like, oh wait, yeah, there are 2. So the first one for next week is going to be that same position. You're going to slide across and go forward. Next week. Next week. Next week. You want to make sure like I'm like pushing it towards the part like in front of me. Next week. Next week. Next week. The other way, which is the way I now do, is you're going to have your hand up again. Your pointer finger is going to be at the opposite side. So not over here at the palm, it's going to be at your fingertips. And you go next week. So you go across and like go under your hand. Next week. Yeah, next week. I know it's like the weirdest way. Next week. Now I'll turn it sideways. Next week. If you guys are like, girl, I do not know what you're talking about, and you want to do that one, that's fine by me. Okay, literally, like we're gonna know what you're saying. This is just because that's all my kids. That's like what a lot of my kids do. So I got so used to it, so that's all I do. And yeah, it was a fun little first class when I kept saying, oh yeah, this is next week. And then at the end of class, when I was like, I'll see you guys all next week, I literally saw their face go, what? All right.
I imagine a classroom full of grade school kids like swinging their arms out might not go well.
No, but this one, they'll like, I mean, they'll even get it to where they're like the back of their hand and they just do like a whole like flip out. And I'm like, I know you mean next week, but like, what? So there's the play on the ASL again that I think is really cool. But yeah, they will like, I'm like, that's not accurate. Excuse me. All right. So for next month, or no, last month, let's do last month first. Last month is again one of my not favorite ones because we're still in this last month position. You're going to go down and back. The last month. Last month. Please be careful and not accidentally hit your neck with your fingernail. I have done that before. It's not fun. It hurts. So be very careful with this one. The fun little thing about ASL is that you can, if you get really excited or not careful, you can accidentally hurt yourself. The amount of times I've scratched my face is like insane. Like I will get my chin so many times when I'm signing something, and I will like stop mid-sentence and grab my chin and go, "Oh, there's no blood. Okay, we're good. Keep talking." Yeah, we're very close to ourselves, our face and everything, and it happens a lot. So last month. And then our next one is next month. So next month is you're going to do the same, go down and forward. Next month. Next month. So you have it like, have your pointer finger go the back of your other hand. So have this one, have your non-dominant face out. Dominant is pointed this way. And then go on the back, yeah. And so that's month. And then next month is you flip up. I kept watching. I was like, wait, I see the movement, but there's some slight difference that's getting to, like, I can't tell. Next month. There you go. All right. All right. Let's go back through these 6. We had our yesterday. Make sure it's your thumb that goes back. Yesterday. There we go. Then we had tomorrow. Then we had last week. So our week, slide across, go behind. Last week. Then our next week, slide across, go in the front. Next week. And then our different way of saying next week, but it's also still next week. Opposite and then down. Next week. Then we had last month. Last month. And then our next month. I hope for everybody that you guys don't have to say those words as many times as possible, because I know you're probably like, oh my gosh, what is happening with my hands? Yeah, trust me, I know. I've been there. So I get it. I do. All right. Let's do last year. So last year is going to be, you're going to like have those fists. Instead of going in full circle, you're not going to do that. You're going to pat, tap, pat. I try to say pat and then tap at the same time. That did not work. Tap and go back with the pointer finger. So last year. And then that's also, like I said, you can do 2 years, 2 years ago. Some people will do what I've noticed more is they'll go, what is it they'll do? How will I do this? 2 years ago. Like they'll kind of just like 2 years, like pointing their 2 and go back 2 years ago. That one I see every now and then. I just want to give you that exposure. More so I see like last year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, that sort of thing. They pat and they bring back. But someone could say 2 years ago. They kind of just do that motion too. It's interesting. All right. The next one is next year. So again, we're going to still do the same kind of pattern. We're going to go pat, tap, cannot talk, and go next year. So you're kind of like curve it forward. Next year. Okay. So now the next one we're going to do is the sign for night. So for night, what you're going to do is you're going to have your non-dominant as a fist, and your dominant hand is going to come on top of it. Night. Now this is going to be probably more like level, like with your sternum. I'm having it up higher so you guys can see it better, but night. The important thing to know with night is don't come towards yourself. You do that, that is the sign for English. Don't know why they have to be similar, but they are. Night, English. Just a fun little one. I'm sure you're like, Jillian, if you hadn't told me, I probably would have been never messed up like that. But now that you told me, I'm going to flip them. But, I like to give you guys extra signs here and there. So, night, English. So, if you were going to say good night, all right, you're going to do the sign for good. So, good is palm up. And then you're going to have your non-dominant here, and you're going to go good. 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 And you do want to make sure you keep your hand always kind of facing up, because if you go down, that is bad. So good, bad. Good. Good. Bad. Yeah. So bad's going to be like you're kind of like you're having it and then you turn and clap. And then good will just stay up. Yeah. Good. Bad. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. So thank you is one hand going up. Thank you. Thank you. That's usually without the other one. Because if you did this, they're going to think you're saying good and not thank you. I mean, they'll probably figure it out, but yeah. Thank you. Good. All right. If you were going to say good night, you would go good night. Good night.
So contextually, is this like, hey, have a good night, or is this good night right before somebody goes to sleep?
You can do kind of either way. Really, it's just I haven't seen anything be specifically different. Most of the time I just say good night. And then sometimes they'll add, depending on what time of the day, sometimes they'll be like good afternoon or things like that. It's kind of interesting just seeing how people's like concept of what time it is kind of comes into play. So, but yeah, most of the time I just say good night. And they'll go so fast, it's like good night, good night. You see how it's like smooth? Instead of good night, it's good night. That actually did make me think of, though, in some places, some people will do, instead of saying like good night, they'll say see you later. Which I'm gonna show you is you go, yeah, see you later. You go see, and then you have like an L and you point down. So see later. See later. See you later. It's very smooth. It's like a big old flick of your hand, of like your wrist. You go like that. See later. It's because the U is in there as you like are going down. You're like pointing as you go down towards them. So see you later. But yeah, that one is also very often used. Instead of like some people just saying good night, they'll go like see you later. See you later. Okay. Then after this one, we will pause and go back. We're going to do good morning. So the sign for morning is you're going to start, you're going to start with your non-dominant arm, right? Like on your bicep, okay? And then you're going to bring your arm up. Morning. Morning. So if you were going to say good morning, you would go good morning. All right.
Now show them how you really do it at school.
I knew you were going to call me on it. So is a very simplified way of saying good morning that a lot of people use, especially at my school. So what you do is you're going to start with the good, like the good right here. Your other hand's pretty much down, okay? And you go, good morning. Good morning. It's the good tied in with the morning without having to make this other one. So you're not having to do this whole big good morning. It's good morning.
See, that's how I know I'm an ASL tourist. Because I would say good, make a big production out of it.
See, the nice thing though that is kind of cool is whenever like we're doing like story time for kids or anything, or like having I did not pronounce that right. Presentations. There we go. A lot of people will do the good, like good morning, sort of thing. It's just kind of that like excited, like professional almost kind of tone, I guess. But just like the normal,
Okay, that totally makes sense. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like the day to day, you just go, good morning, good morning. I remember stressing out, guys, on my first day of like internship because I had stuff in my hands and I ran in front of I saw someone and I was like, I feel like I have to say good morning to everyone because I'm trying to be friendly and like make a good impression. And I remember like trying to like juggle, like, I can't remember what it was, like it was bags of stuff and me just going like lifting one arm and going, good morning, the most uncomfortable way possible. And she looked at me and she was like, good morning. And I was like, just a good. I remember I was like, I can't believe that's how I found it out. That's how I saw it. And then saw everyone else go, good morning. And I was like, well, that was a very big stress for not much happening. So our little good morning. All right, let's go through what we've done. We did last year. So tap back. Last year. And then next year, tap and forward. Next year. Then we did our night. Night. And then we did our good night, which was good night. And then we also did, sorry, it's cute. And then we also did see you later, which was the see later. Sorry, I guess the motion's more like this. See later. See you later. And then we also did bad. Bad. It's a good one to know if you're around kids because sometimes you will tell them good morning and they'll go bad morning. And I'm like, oh, or bad night. They will do that. That's just because they're grumpy and they're tired. That's what they will literally do though. So just to be aware. And then we had our morning. So we had good morning. And then our simplified good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Okay, let's see. So our last little bit of time that I have is the days of the week. Okay. And then we'll try to start some of the family, but if not, we can always move that to next week as well. Because I know we got about 25 minutes, which should be fine, but I don't want to overwhelm you guys too much still. So we're going to start with whenever we do the days of the week, I always like to start with Monday because Monday through Saturday are very similar. Sunday is slightly different. So I know this is a little crazy, but that's how it works. So for Monday, what you're going to do is you're going to make an M. You're going to turn it towards yourself and then go in a circle. Monday. Monday. And you want to make sure it's like you have the back facing that way. And like you're almost like you can see your M. Yeah, Monday. Okay. Then we have Tuesday. Tuesday is going to be a T. Facing you again. And Tuesday. Excuse me. Then we have Wednesday. It's going to be a W. And you're going to make sure it's facing you. And then you're going to go, there you go. And a circle for Wednesday. For Thursday, because we've already used the T, it's a U, it looks like a U, but it's representing the H. And so you do the U and then you go in a circle. Some people will go more sideways like Thursday, like this. I see more Thursday. Then we have Friday.
Does the direction matter?
Yes, you don't want to go forward. You want to make sure the back of your hand is facing.
Well, you can like circle it either way though.
Oh yeah, the circling. Since I'm left handed, I always go a certain direction. So when I went backwards, it like threw me for a minute. But yeah, the circle doesn't really, that motion doesn't matter too much as long as you have it facing you. Then we had Friday. And then Saturday. So the S and then Saturday. Now, I do get this question every time. How are you supposed to be able to tell the difference between Monday, Tuesday, and then Saturday? So the key I use is that when you're doing Monday, you know, you can kind of tell your pinky is down and like you've got your thumb sticking out. Sometimes if I'm really like trying to make sure, I'll like stick it out a little more. And that way I know it's like the 3 fingers, Monday. Tuesday is that 1 finger, but you still can like see your thumb, it's sticking out more. And it's clearly you can tell that this finger is resting on it. You know, it sticks up. So Tuesday. And then our Saturday is like, you don't see any thumb pretty much. Saturday. All right. So then let's do our Sunday. So there are 2 ways you can do Sunday. The first one is you're going to have 5s, like closed 5s, and you go Sunday. Think about like when you're wiping a window or a car. Sunday. Then we also have Sunday, and it's like you put your hand across and go Sunday, and you pat. Sunday. Or Sunday and Sunday. Those can go either way, so there's not really one I see more than the other. I see both pretty evenly. All right, let's go back all the way to our Monday and go through them again. So we have Monday. There you go. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Watching you guys move your hand is throwing me for moving my hand in position. I'm like watching, like, wow, there's a lot of movement right here, and I like lost my turn. Do not know what happened there with that. Then we have our Sunday. Sunday or Sunday. Okay. How are we feeling on time? I know I've thrown like a ton of signs at you guys. I know time is a lot. Oh, excuse me. I was gonna say, well, you were signing Jesus. That I think is actually, I remember at school we learned that song, like Jesus Loves Me, and we use like our hands like to do this. And I remember when I learned that ASL, I was like, wait a minute, we were actually signing, and I don't know, getting me got excited once again about a sign that we were doing without knowing. So
How would you do like next Tuesday?
oh, that's a good one. Okay, so what I typically do, I'm going to show you the way you do it and the way I do it, because it's again that week thing. So like, you know how we had that next Tuesday, like I go next and then Tuesday, next Tuesday. I typically go next Tuesday. Like, I mean, I have it like I slide it across, go down, and like I turn into a T as I come back up. So next Tuesday. I know it's kind of one of those wonky, once you know it, it's good and like you can do it. If you slow it down and think it through, it almost is like trying to say the alphabet really slow. I don't know if you guys have ever done that, but when you have to say the alphabet really, really slow, you start to lose your place. Okay. I will sit there and go, wait, what is the next letter? Even though I'm like, I know this by heart. I know it so easily. It's just that pace will get you. So next Tuesday. That's the same with all of them. So next Wednesday, next Thursday, that sort of thing. Next, yes, like next Sunday, that sort of thing, Sunday. Because Sunday you would have to do the next Sunday. This looks like you're waving. Next Sunday. But yeah, okay. So we have about 18 minutes left. Are there any questions you guys have at this moment? Yes. No? Because if not, what we'll do is we can do immediate family signs, just the immediate, like mom, brother, sister, grandma, and like kind of leave it at that. We can go more in the other ones next week. But I think that way we have enough, some family signs, but it's not like a full family list. All right, let's see. Okay, are we good? All right. Being silly, that's what you are. Okay, so we're gonna do the sign for family. And what you're gonna do for family is you're gonna have two F's. You're gonna have them together, and then you're gonna make a circle until your pinkies touch. Family. 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 Now this is one, so that little motion that we did, that kind of like that circular motion, is a motion that you use for when you're doing anything with related to groups. So typically you're more like the ASL way, like I was talking about earlier, is like an open C and you just make like a circle. But then when you get specific, like family, things like that, you can use like the family. This one's I've seen use ASL, it's ASL. But sometimes they'll do for like team, it's like T's and make that circle motion, team. This would be more your English, because this is the ASL in general. For group, team, class, anything that's going to be in that kind of grouping sort of setting would be that. But then there's that English where you go like team, group, class. Those are things. I know that was confusing. I just want to add, since we had already talked about it a little, like that's where that is. That's why our family is like kind of like this, because a family is a group. It's a group of people all connected. Family. Okay. So the first one we're going to do is the sign for mom. So mom is going to be a 5 with your thumb on your chin. Mom. Then we have dad. Dad is the same thing, but on your forehead. Dad. Okay. Then for brother and sister, we're gonna start with sister first. So sister's gonna be, you're gonna have that L shape. You're gonna start with it like the back of your thumb on your chin. Your non-dominant hand is in like a flat L, I guess is how I would say it. I know it's weird. It's like I don't have my thumb sticking up, I have it flat. Yeah, like that. And then I go sister. Sister. Like bring it on top. Let me turn sideways. Maybe that'll help. Sister. Sister. It's like I'm still, I guess like I guess this would have been easier. Pointing. Imagine when you're pointing at someone. Okay. And then bring your little L on top. That's so much easier. I'm sitting here like, how do I tell them that they should flatten their thumb? Pointing your finger. Guys, I'm telling you. Okay. Spring break is next week. And it's every teacher is just like, we're ready. We're ready. Sister. Okay. Typically you have a more like lower down, so you're not having to like go out as far. I'm doing this, I'm trying to get y'all to see what I'm doing. It's usually just like straight down. Brother is going to be the same thing, but on your forehead. Brother, brother, brother. Okay. Then we have grandma and grandpa. Very similar to mom and dad, but what you're going to do, so for grandma, you go grandma, grandma, grandma. You just bounce it forward, grandma, grandma. And then for grandpa, you'll go grandpa, grandpa. This is another little fun story of one of my kids who loves to play with the ASL language. And what they did is they were talking about their grandma. But they were like trying to say, because really the sign for like great grandma and things like that gets a little complicated and muddled. We'll talk more about that next week. But what they were doing to like just kind of play with it and stuff is they were going, grandma, mama, and they just kept bouncing. Like their hands just kept going. Like it was so far, far, like, oh my gosh, she is great, 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 great grandma. It's kind of like that sense. And I'll just never forget because they just pretended like it just kept going, like they never stopped. It's like the same kid I talked about with, he was talking about how old his grandmother is, and he was like saying she's like million, billion, trillion, same concept, but this time just bouncing it far forward and forward. I mean, the creativity these kids have is hilarious to me. Okay, let's go back through those 6, 7 signs. And then I have like 2 or 3 more, and then we'll just kind of review a bit. Okay, so the next, so we did family. So family, family, family. Then we had mom, mom, dad, sister, 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 brother, 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 then grandma, 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 grandpa, grandpa, grandpa. Okay, so if you guys haven't noticed already, when we're talking about any female members of the family, they're all kind of around our chin, while all the male are more up on top of our heads. That's going to be a common thing you'll see with family signs is that most of them are going to be, if they're male, they're going to be up here by the head. If they're female, they're going to be down here by the chin. Okay. So the next one I have is boy and girl. I know those aren't really like related in the sense of, well, that's not a family sign. It ties into a family sign, which is why I'm going to show you guys them now. So the first sign, girl, is going to be a thumbs up, and you're going to brush it on the side like of your jaw, basically, girl. Girl. Then boy is going to be boy. It's, imagine him wearing a baseball cap and you're patting the bill, boy. And you want to make sure it's like kind of like it is center like of your forehead, boy. Okay. The reason I added girl and boy is if you're talking about a son or a daughter, what you're going to do is you'll add the sign baby to them. So the sign baby, which is what we can all kind of think of as holding a baby. So if you're talking about a daughter, you would go girl, baby. So girl, baby. You don't have to do the multiple motion for that. You would just slide it once and like curve into a girl or into a baby. Girl, baby. And then we have boy, baby, boy, baby. Okay. So what I'm going to do real quick now, because I was thinking about it, and I think we actually have it on here. Yeah, I thought I saw it earlier. How you would list your family, which I know we've talked about, but I'm going to kind of further explain it again, like how you would talk about your whole family. If you're talking about like how many siblings you would have, like sisters and brothers, you could say like 3 sisters. If you're saying as a whole, like siblings, you would go brother, sister. You would just go back, like have both of them. So like if you're saying I have 5 siblings, you would just go 5 siblings. And then typically what, if you did that siblings instead of 5, there might be a good chance they're going to ask you, well, which ones are which? How many siblings, how many girls, how many boys, that sort of thing. So I'm going to use that example of 5 siblings. Okay. You would turn your hand like that list we talked about. And then you can either say sister or girl. Like I'm making up siblings. I do not have this many siblings. I got 1 of each and that's all. And that's enough. Okay. They're crazy. I love them, but they are no more. So yeah, I would do like sister. Like I would go like sister to that thumb, or you could go girl, point to it, girl. I typically see more sister, sister. Then I'd say this one is a brother, brother. This one's also a brother, brother. And then another sister, and then another sister, little sister. So the reason the way I did it that way is this is how you would do oldest to youngest. So you wouldn't have to worry too much about saying like, she's the oldest, she's the youngest. You would keep them in that order. So like, if, for example, we're talking about my siblings, if we're actually doing me and my siblings and all of us included, I would go 3. I'd point to this one and go me, because I'm the oldest. Then I would go this one, sister. And then this one, brother. So it's really helpful. I really like it. It's a very good like visual because you don't have to worry about like that saying, you know, like, oh yeah, I have 2 siblings. Like here's me, here's them. You could already tell them where they are in the placement of like who's oldest, who's youngest just by this.
You would sign that you had 2 siblings
Mhm.
and then you do your 3 and include
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah. And it's always important to put you are where you're supposed to put you where you are in the line. So like, I know because usually in English, we think about me goes at the end. Well, unless you're the baby of the family, put you where you're supposed to be. Because that'll throw them off. If you're talking about an older, like if you're talking about your younger siblings and they're like, wait, but you said you're here. How are you like, you know, they'll catch that. It's amazing how fast but they'll catch that. I have one more sign. We've never done this one before, I don't think, Miss Katie. Oh, I saw her sit forward for this. So, if you were talking about twins, that are, yeah, so my brother and sister are twins. That's why I was thinking about it, because typically when I talk about them, I always add that they're twins, and I realized it's like, oh, I don't want to sign this until I say it first. So for twins, you're going to have the 2. You go on the opposite corner of your mouth, and you go T, 2, 2. So you go like across and down, and then on the other side of your mouth. Twins. Twins. Some people will go with the T and go twins. I typically do the 2. Twins. If you were going to talk about them being twins, so like if I was like, let's say I'm explaining to someone about my family, my siblings, I would go like, this is me, and I'd go my sister, brother, and then I'd go these 2. Like I would point to them, and I go twins. So just a fun little one to add. I realize I've never added that one before. And I'm sure my siblings would be very offended given that they are twins. So, but yeah. Okay. Let's go back through the few we did. I know I kind of added a few here and there. We had our girl. So we had girl. Then we had boy. Then we had our daughter. So girl, daughter. Excuse me. And then boy, son. I love how I'm saying these in English because I know that doesn't make sense. Girl, daughter, boy, son, but how I can get it all together. Then we did our listing, which I don't think we have to go through all again. And then we had twins. Okay, so we have about 5 minutes. I'm gonna leave it open if anybody has any questions, or are there any signs that you guys need me to go over again? The questions, if they're like signs you want to know, they don't have to be related to time or family. Like that's totally fine. If you have one that's different, but I'm kind of leave it open for that while I fix that. There we go.
We did see you later, but like if you were to say like see you Tuesday or like see you tomorrow, how do you get the see you into it? Is it still this?
See you Tuesday. See you Tuesday. See you Tuesday. See you Wednesday. That kind of this pulling yourself, like pulling it forward, I think is how that you is embedded. I know I'm using weird words. But like that's kind of how it's already like there. So you're not having to go see you Tuesday. I mean, you could do that though. See you Tuesday. That worked too. But like I've said, there's that more like ASL fluid where you can just go see you Tuesday. See you Tuesday. Sunday. There you go. Yeah. So see you Sunday. Trying to think. No, I was gonna add one, but I'm like, I'm not gonna add more signs. I'm trying to not add more signs at the last 5 minutes of class because I know I can do that, and I'll throw 1,000 signs, and before you know it, I've added 50 more that y'all didn't need yet. So but we have about half of the family signs left for next week. They're really not going to be that complicated, I don't think, because a lot of them are similar in the sense of like you just add one thing or two to them. So I don't think that'll take too long. And then I think next week's what is next week's class about? Let me see the theme. I know we changed.
I didn't look, so I really. Oh wait, we have a question.
Yes, I love that we both stopped what we were doing and looked immediately. So there are two ways you can say so that I miss you and I love you. There are two ways. Well, I'm trying to pull up. There it is, the ASL club. Let's see. Oh, okay. The next one after this is our WH question words with places and then food. That's what they were. So we might hold off on our food though until like the next two classes because food's a very, very long list. But I think next week we'll finish up the family ones, do our WH question words, places, and then maybe add a few hodgepodge words, the words that we need that are good to know but don't have a set group. Okay, so the question is how do you say things like I love you and I miss you? So I love you, there are two ways you can sign it. And they depend on, well, actually there's three. Sorry, there's three. Depends on the severity of it. Oh, yes, that's also a good one. So the first one is one we see all the time, and it's this. I love you. This one is more that generalized, like love you kind of thing, where like, I'll say this to my kids. I'll be like, oh, love you, and I'm like, love you. One that you can say to everybody and it's safe. And the reason for this, it's super cool. Once you see it, I love it. Okay. Because there's your I for I love I. Here's your L for love. And then the Y for you. So I love you. Total nerd. I love it. I was a sap. The second I saw it, I went, oh my gosh, that's the sweetest thing. So the next one is, I've seen this one is I really love you. This one is still, I see it for like, it can be a little more the romantic side, but I've also seen some people use them when they really like cherish like friendships, but I typically see a little more romantic, and it's, so you have an R and then your pinky and thumb out. And it's like, I know, it's the I really love.
This is like yoga for my fingers. That's.
Oh, I know. You're not used, like, if you're not used to certain like positions, your hands are like, ow, what is happening here? Yeah. Sometimes your hands can be your enemies. And then the last one that I see is like really like more used for like someone you really care about. Like I really like a significant other, family member, something like that. You're not going to really say this to like friends. And it's where you literally point to yourself. You go, I love you. I love you. I mean, there are some people, I will say, like, if you do see someone say like this, they may be saying it in that like platonic, like friendship friendly way. I use this more as a, I love you. Like I'm going to say that to someone like I really care, I'm going to have a very strong relationship with, that sort of thing. But sometimes they kind of just depend on the person. Your face will also tell it. Okay. If you're talking about, oh yeah, I love you, and you say, I love you, I love you, and your eyes are not googly eyes, that's probably going to tell them, oh, okay, that maybe it's not as that. And then I miss you. Okay. So the miss you. So miss you is so funny enough, as I say it, it's just you point to your chin like, I missed you, like missed you. This is also the sign for disappointed. I know. I knew I was going to get y'all when I said that. So with that, your face really depends on it. Okay, guys, if you're trying to tell someone you really miss them, I missed you. Like you want to be like smiling, like I missed you. Versus like, I'm disappointed, like disappointed. Yeah. That's where your facial expressions really come into play. Okay. I think that every time I sign it, either if I'm saying disappointed, if I'm saying miss you, every single time, that's what I think about is I'm like, am I really showing it on my face? And I try to like almost over like emphasize my face just to get it that way. So miss you. Just but yeah.
Hey, Jillian, I did want to add something. This occurred in the last class, and I don't think we've ever had it happen before, but it made me think, oh my gosh, we really should think about this. We had a student say he was autistic and that he often had trouble expressing with his facial features the difference between disappointed and miss you. And so I think one of the things that you had said was you might add like fingers, like not happy or like you would finger spell something to add to that, or communicate in some other way as best you could.
Yes. Especially for those that like, I am fortunate where my feelings are shown on my face. You can tell by my face how I'm feeling. Okay. I can't really hide much. I'm very much like that open book kind of look. And so I know some people are, and some people are a little more neutral. And context can really help with that as well, to kind of like alleviate that like stress of like making sure your face is really showing it. So like if you're talking about, I'm so happy you're here, I've missed you, they're gonna know you're not saying I'm disappointed, like I'm happy you're here, I've missed you. They're gonna know you're not saying I'm disappointed in you, I'm happy you're here. Like that doesn't really make sense. Yeah,
although I've said that to my kids before,
right? But I'm just because I'm sitting here going, could that be used as a sentence though? But I guarantee you the person's gonna be like, and then you could go in with that MIS, like I've missed you, miss. Finger spelling is not, don't think of finger spelling. If you have to finger spell a word, it's not bad. Okay. Finger spelling is so in ASL, it genuinely is like, there's no like judgment. Okay. Most of the time, I have to say most of the time. When you're talking to someone and you finger spell, like it's truly like, it's just a natural thing. Like it's so, because there are words that just don't have signs. And so you can't, so you finger spell it. And like, for example, I know it's like past 6:30, but I was gonna have like a quick example. One of my coworkers who moved to Tennessee, she came and visited us at school on Friday and stayed with me this weekend. It was a great time. We got to catch up. She is deaf. And so like, I mean, we were chatting so long, guys, my arm got a cramp. Okay. My elbow was literally hurting because we were moving like lightning speed. You hear me talking this fast? Imagine it like ×2 in sign language. Okay. Like I was going like lightning because we were just so excited to see each other. But we were talking about one of our like favorite Mexican restaurants here, and it's called like Guadalajara. Like it's a very long name. Every time we have to finger spell, we start with the GUA and then we go la 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 la. Like we just don't want to finger spell everything. Like so we'll just go Guadalajara and we look at each other like, you know what I'm saying. And that's kind of a thing you can do with finger spelling too, is because that's not going to have a sign. Guadalajara is not going to have a sign. In that sense, you could just finger spell and then do boo 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 boo. Most of the time in context, it'll piece together so easily you don't have to finger spell the whole thing. But yeah, that's just like an instance where we do finger spell and then I love just doing this. Once they get it, it's so nice. Man, it is so nice. You don't have to make me spell out like personification. I can literally go personification. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Please don't.
Once you admitted that you do that, now I notice that you do it all the time.
Especially when I'm like talking and I'm signing.
Yeah, it's so funny.
Because the words are long. How am I supposed to sign? Like, how am I supposed to finish all the words on par with my talking? Like, it's too much. So.
Okay. Well, thanks y'all for indulging us for an extra 6 minutes. And like I always have fun.
You can do the I miss you as pointing, or you can go like, this one's like, I would probably do the I miss you more. I missed you sort of thing. That one. But yeah. All right. Okay, guys. I will see you guys all next Tuesday. Now y'all know what that means. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of y'all's week. Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.